Welcome into the Play the Fight Song podcast. Welcome into Thanksgiving week. Welcome into a 4-day weekend of college football. Welcome into Rivalry week. Hey, cheers, fellas, everybody. We're doing
Cheers.
a little
Free
bit of a
ads.
drinking
No
pod
free
here.
ads.
No free ads. There's
No free
nothing
ads.
showing here.
Ames log.
But
Yeah, they
cheers
need
to all
that
the
NIL
fellas
money.
here.
They need that.
Sponsor the collective. Everybody go out.
Reese went
It's opening
koozies
up
and
soon.
elitist. He can't drink his beer fast enough. So
Everyone,
keep that koozie
here's
tight.
one of these. No,
I don't have one of those.
Put those down. We don't condone that.
But hey, pumped to have everybody in here. I think I have been on vacation a little bit, so I have been busy, but I think most of you didn't work today. Reese, I know you did a little bit. Parks was absolutely swamped, and I don't think Schaefer did at all. So, hey, man, some people grind and some people just, take free holidays. That's all it is. Parks, what do you think about that?
That's exactly right. I mean, I was grinding today, trying to better myself, better my community, bring shared experiences to people's holiday. But I mean, if you want to take a day for yourself, that's a you thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's not that big of a deal that some of us grind and make America better each day. So let's jump into some recent news within the college football world. We'll have plenty of time for a discussion and a little bit of fun later. Dino Babers let go at Syracuse. That is some news that hit Reese just right in the heart. I mean, you should have seen the guy finding out.
tough, man.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he held back the tears. Reese, you want to kind of tell us how you got through that moment?
Yeah, it was tough. My immediate reaction was I just got to think of that picture of me. What sums it up with his time in Syracuse? Just me with a thumbs down right there, man. Guy struggled. I think he was like 30 and 60 or something like that. I forget what the stats was, but yeah, it's also tough because I just don't know. Like Syracuse isn't like that high of a attention grabbing job, so I really don't know who they get in there that's going to make it that much more of a sought after place for guys. Because I mean, it seems like it's that with the transfer portal right now, it seems kind of like an in between step for guys where it's like if you're at a G5, you go there, you can prove yourself, and they go to a bigger school. Like it doesn't seem like it's like a destination spot for people. So I don't know. They got to get a guy there who can turn that into a destination spot, I feel like.
Yeah, they're going to have to hit a guy like a Leopold or a hire, like a Climb, like one of those hires where you go get somebody from a G5 or an FCS level that really turns a program around. Like that's what I was saying, Shafe. I wasn't like saying they're going to get Kleiman.
No, I guess my problem is like I don't know what the expectation for Syracuse is. I know they've had him around for a while, and maybe it was like bowl game or bust for the program this year for like his cutoff, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like you're consistently getting about 6 wins every year. They were looking like they were going to be on track for that this year, and it kind of fell off the rails. And I guess my whole point is who do you go to now? Like how high can you really take the ceiling at Syracuse in the modern day of college football? Like Donovan McNabb's not walking in the building anytime soon. Like that's never happening again.
No, it's going to be one of those that, the AD is going to have to make a great hire. I think that's kind of the situation all their athletic programs are in. When you look at Syracuse from afar, right? Sam Pittman will stay at Arkansas as Arkansas AD has announced that he will retain him. He will not be fired. I think we talked about this and touched on this a couple of weeks ago or last week in an episode. Parks, were you kind of surprised? Were you like thinking that's the best move for Arkansas, or do you think it's like too quick on the trigger still down there?
No, I wasn't shocked, I guess. I mean, I think you have to look at where he's at. It's not really I wouldn't say an SEC powerhouse by any means when it comes to football. They kind of know where Arkansas is at as a program. Was it a disappointing year? Yeah, but are they going to get anybody better than Sam Pittman right now? I don't know. I think that was.
I don't know about right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it that way. They'd have to go find a great coordinator somewhere smaller or somewhere struggling, and you're going to take a chance there either way. So let them keep building. I'm sure that's going to be their point of view, and see what happens.
I could tell you who my call would be if I was Arkansas and I had a job opening. But
I love that they kept him, to be honest. I know that a lot of people think he should be gone, but I thought he's done a lot of good things in the portal for like skill players wise. He kind of lacked in the offensive line room this year. That's where they really struggle, which is his bread and butter. That's kind of the questioning part, but like the schedule did them no favors this year. Yeah, the Auburn game is a little inexcusable, but next year it's kind of in their hands. Like I love that they gave him one more year because if you look at the schedule for them next year, I think then if he doesn't even win 7 games next year, fine. You heard it here first.
I think he's got a short leash next year. I think if he comes out of the gate 2-2, like 3-2, like he's still like,
You think they'd fire him mid-season?
Yeah,
If he was 3-2,
I think so.
if he's above 500 through 5 or 6 games, I think most of Arkansas is okay with that. Granted, they could change it around in the portal, and I think the players like him. Like, I love him as a coach. I think he's a very lovable guy. I think he's a player's coach. So
Yeah.
I think they'll keep people around and maybe bring in more talent. But a midseason fire next year would also surprise me, unless they start like 0-4.
So he had KJ Jefferson too, who was a preseason first teamer in the SEC for that. I mean, that quarterback, like he was first team all SEC preseason. Like he's had a good quarterback too, so like he can bring in guys, but it's also like, has he wasted some of those years for those guys too? Because I mean, Rocket Sanders was a stud. Yeah, he got hurt and everything like that, but he had some weapons there at the beginning, and I just don't know if he's going to bring in more pieces to fix that, or has he wasted some time with those guys?
Schaefer, KJ, can he come back next year? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
I have no idea.
I think he can. Now, this is bad podcasting and bad insight on our part, but I think he can come back next year. I think he gets one more year.
5 games into the season next year. This is their schedule, right? Pine Bluff, Oklahoma State, UAB, Texas
Oklahoma
A&M,
State.
at
You said
in Stillwood.
Okay. Yep.
UAB.
Yep.
Texas A&M, Louisiana Tech. You're telling me if he's 3-2 right there, he's fine?
If he's 2-3.
If he's 2-3, he's not fine. If he's 3-2,
with losses I'm going to assume it's going to be losses in Stillwater and then against A&M.
There's no reason.
2 games that matter.
Yeah. Give me the next game. Just give me the next game for reference.
LSU, Ole Miss.
Okay, because there's no reason he should.
Tennessee, Texas, Auburn.
There's no reason he shouldn't be 3-0 against Pine Bluff, UAB, and Tech.
Yep.
I think
would agree.
I would
better start winning.
Okay,
and look at look how Gundy starts off his years as of recent. Like, there's no reason they can't go into Stillwater and win that football game too.
Okay,
and
would agree. But
I agree.
How about 3-2 with LSU? Actually, this is to be determined on what order these SEC games are going. But in conference, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri. So no Alabama, no Georgia.
They get Texas at home, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Last time
Texas sold out Donald W. Reynolds. I guarantee it.
Hey, last time they went there, they got absolutely the door.
That was the year we went. No, wasn't that the year we went? That was early in the year
we went. Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot different Arkansas feeling down there than it was after that game. But hey, let's jump into some transfers, non-transfer situations. Cam Rising will say he will stay for his 7th year. Reese, what do you say to a guy who's there for his 7th year, man?
Hey, embrace it while you can, man. College is fucking awesome.
Guy loves college. I did too.
Or crazy thought, he won't play in the NFL. That might be another option.
I think that's everything.
If he's not going to play in the NFL, who cares? You can still be a quarterback of a Power 5 team in college and just go love life, dude. That guy has had a cooler life than I'll probably have the rest of my life, dude. That'd be sick.
That guy's soaking it up, literally.
That's not true. I heard that's a false narrative.
Why would they admit to it, Schaefer? Jalen Daniels says he will stay at Kansas next season. The Jayhawks will get their starter back, and in hopes of winning a very gettable Big 12. Tyler Shuck, though, will leave the Big 12. This will be his 3rd school. Correct me if I'm wrong, Schaefer. Oregon to Tech to wherever.
Or does he go back to his first? Or does he go back to his first school?
Why would you ever sign him if you're Oregon?
Here's my deal with
Parks Watson.
I'm a transfer portal guy, but Parks, I don't know why you look at 3rd stops for guys. I'll try to list them off the top of my head. You had JT Daniels, who ended up at Rice. You have Keaton Slovis, who's ended up at BYU. Guys, help me out here. Like, name me a guy who had a 3rd stop who you're like, he finally our boy Jerkovic at Pitt. Like, name me a guy who has made a 3rd stop. Emory Jones. Like, I will keep going.
Plummer.
That's all. Yeah, that is 3rd stop. But that's back to a coach he had already played for and been successful under. So, but yes,
Reese, but Jerkovic did that too.
You're right, Reese. I will give you one.
Jerkovic did do that as well.
I'll give you one, Reese. Okay, but just the odds are not in your favor. If you're on a
looking at Cam Ward right now,
whose issue is it really? Cam Ward, I'll also give a pass because he transferred from an
He
FCS
did.
level.
No, he hasn't transferred. I think he might. I think he
Okay.
might. I'm not
And I
saying
think
he's transferred 3. I think this would be his second, first, third school, which is a possibility.
That's a guy playing the system though, because he went from the FCS level to
Yeah.
a low major Power 5, and
Hey,
now
speaking
could play somewhere.
Speaking of playing the system, I don't know what you guys think about this, but Evan Stewart, right, rumored to be in the transfer portal. It's not official. We're not going to say and try to break any news here, but it's where, kind of we're in the spot where, Schaefer, if you want to kind of talk about Iowa State and what you saw today that kind of jumped to your attention, and then I'll jump to Parks because he's a guy that Nebraska has really jumped into the transfer portal, and I just want to see what he thinks about it and what he thinks Nebraska is doing or other schools are doing about it.
So you want me to start first on kind of the Iowa State situation?
Yeah, just go over kind of what you saw, what your thoughts were, and then we can talk like what we think it actually means, because Evan Stewart's a big name and it just happens to come in line with this.
So me and JP were talking through Twitter about the Evan Stewart situation. We're thinking with the rumors coming out, there's obviously got to be a little bit of tampering situation, as obviously the window doesn't open at least for another week. I don't have the exact date on hand, but relating it to Iowa State, safety Jeremiah Cooper, who we all know is going to be targeted in the portal, along with some of those other secondary positions, signed with a Rosenhaus Sports as like an agent, which they can do now. Kudos to them. For a team like Iowa State, it leaves a bad feeling in your stomach, because when you look at something like that, why would a guy hire an agent to stay at Iowa State? Like, what are they going to negotiate?
Would they call him an NIL representative or something like that?
Yeah, an NIL representative. So what is the sports agent doing? He's talking to Jamie Pollard every day, trying to get a max extension? No, he's getting phone calls from every SEC booster, every Big Ten booster for the next week on, with the best offer that they can throw at him. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to leave. Sometimes we forget that system, coaches, fit, that all matters. But I mean, it can't be great news that he's signed with this deal, and he's probably talking to somebody. So I thought that was really interesting today.
Yeah, like my exact point was, why don't you just come out and tell us that you're shopping players, getting some money out of this, that it isn't all about that, right? Like, to say you're an NIL representative as a third-party guy, you're not an NIL representative from the university this athlete in particular plays at. You are a third-party guy who also deals with NFL. You also deal with other things. You cannot tell me you would not take the time to call 5-6 people, take 5 or 6 phone calls throughout a week or two span if there's not anything in it for you. Just tell us that you're an agent and you're shopping these players. Parks, Nebraska, like I said, been very heavy in the transfer portal, guys leaving, guys coming in. Bigger program. They're doing it. Every program in the country is doing it. What do you think about it? Or like, how do you think it should be even handled? Like, it's still new.
Yeah. When it comes to Evan Stewart, it's tough, because I think that we're not taking into account that these teams have to disperse their collective, not evenly, but to what they need, to what they're not having an impact at. So is Evan Stewart in the talk for Nebraska? Yeah, maybe, but is he going to get the paycheck that he's probably getting at A&M and what other places might offer him? Like, Nebraska's, I know they have a middle of the pack collective, and it's probably better than most, I would say.
It's got to be the top level of college, like the better half of college football.
It's like middle of the pack, honestly. It's not that great right now. Like, they spent Jeff Sims. I know he makes high 6 figures, which is great, but they're going to spend that money on another quarterback. Like, you have to disperse this out. You only have X amount of dollars, and with the young talent that some teams have on the outside, he's not going to get offers from them because they're going to be targeting something else, maybe an offensive lineman. So at the end of the day, that's where it's going to come into the most play with NIL, is they have to pick and choose what they're going to spend on. And I don't know if the fans at least I can say to Nebraska are going to spend it on anything else right now in their mind other than a quarterback.
Also look like people that are donating money to these collectives, right? Do I give it to the collective, or am I giving it to the university and the athletic department? Am I giving it to just football? Because you can pick that some collective. Am I giving it to men's, women's basketball, football, baseball? Like, you know what I mean? You just kind of go down the list. Like, people now have to pick and choose. You hit it on the head. Like, what do these people want? It's my money, right? Until I give it to you, it's my money, but I got to say it where this goes. So it's just, yeah.
I'm interested to see what the collectives do with different products, because almost everybody by now has a beer, right?
Yeah.
Like Schaefer's drinking one at the bottom for Iowa State. I know Nebraska one. I know Iowa has like, what is it? The Swarm beer or whatever that is. I mean, I'm interested to see what kind of products come out to support these collectives. It could be something cool. So that'll be another story to follow.
Oh yeah. Like what if like, your big guys, say offensive attack, your offensive linemen come in and you're like, well, how do we get them more money? Well, our truck dealership consistently is dealing with those guys. And then like kind of goes on. Like there's an athletic wear company. Yeah.
They
was
gave
insane.
them all Dodge Ram trucks. I mean,
that's insanity.
It's insane. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, Parks, but it's just insane. Like how much leverage some of these schools have over. For again, an example for Iowa State, they did an Iowa pork. Those 4 guys did an Iowa pork producers commercial, and he came out and said it. Like Brent Bloom came out and said they all made a grand, which is great. Like for a college kid, will we not all want $1,000? Like wouldn't $1,000 help? Absolutely. But then you also look at Utah, and they're getting $50,000 trucks, and I'm not a truck expert, but I probably am selling that short for what they got.
Yeah.
So, it's expensive.
The leverage some of these schools have is ridiculous.
We also need to flatten the line here when it comes to talking about college football players. I consistently hear all the time, and it used to be something that I'm like, okay, they have a point. When you're talking and evaluating these players and how they are acting on and off the field, don't tell me it's a kid anymore. Don't say it's just a kid. Why are you worried about the kid? I mean, they are collecting paychecks for triple the amount of most of our yearly salaries. So they're not kids anymore. You pick one or the other. You either drive a Rolls Royce.
Add all of ours up, hit it times 2. They got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, they're not kids anymore. If you're gonna pay them those big bucks, we can expect things from them on the field. That's my point.
100%. 100%. It's crazy interesting to look into this and just see it from an outside perspective on how like you can see it. Obviously, like if you're paying attention, you can see how this is going. And then you can see the other side that's like, nothing's really happening. Nobody's really running this. Nobody really got rules set out for it. So, again, we're still in the early days of NIL. We're going to get to a point where it's a little more relegated and there'll be more rules and somebody will be looking a little harder at it. But I don't feel like we're that close to that situation. Yep. What did I say? Relegated?
So you said
relegated. Yeah, they could get knocked down to like the Champions League or whatever. Whatever they end up doing with it.
It's possible. I've seen it floated around. All right. Word searching is not my strong suit right now. I'm only half one deep, and that's all I need. So let's jump into embrace debate, right? I think this is one that probably was talked about on the college football playoff ranking show. I know other programs have picked it up, but we kind of do think it's an interesting point, right? It depends how you word it, how people look at it. For what we're talking about, though, should Florida State be viewed differently without Jordan Travis? It's not necessarily yes or no. It's not black and white. I think everything's a gray area in this situation because we haven't had that kind of situation. Maybe Ohio State in 2014, first year of the playoff. But I don't know. I think that Ohio State team might have been a little bit better than this Florida State team. Not saying Florida State's bad, but it's a very different situation because their quarterback was regarded as a Heisman Trophy front runner for a long time, and then in the conversation the rest of the year. Your guys' thoughts, should this affect Florida State? Should they view differently? What are you thinking? Reese, you go first.
I think to view them differently is fair, but if they run the table to keep them out of the playoff, I think is asinine. I think it doesn't make any sense. You still have guys. You still have Trey Benson. You still have Keon Coleman. You still have Johnny Wilson, who's a name that people forget about this year because Keon Coleman's so good. That guy is still like 6'7" and freaking nuts out there. If you can get a halfway decent quarterback that can just be serviceable and function with this offense, they can be just fine. Like it doesn't make any sense because like you talk about 2014, you can't determine how much a player actually means to a team unless you get like the product out there on the field. Because like, yeah, if you would look at like Ohio State going into that, I never would have picked them to win that. But like, you still put those guys out on the field and like people still have a heartbeat and like you can't judge analytics. Like guys can just go out there and still play football. Like it doesn't make any sense to keep them out if they run the table. I put in the group chat that like, even like if you watch college football game day, Herbstreit was talking about how like he doesn't think they should even get in if they run the table. I don't think that makes any sense. It's not fair to those guys because you still have 10 other guys on offense that play, and you have 11 guys on defense that play that game. Like,
Yep.
Is it fair to them? Hell no. That doesn't make any sense to me. They should get in. If they do what they're supposed to do and win a Power 5 conference, they have to get in.
Parks, you had a little agreement there.
Yeah, no, I think he hit the nail on the head. I think it's a completely different conversation if we're talking about a group of 5 team or maybe a lower tier team within a conference. Like, you're looking at Florida State. It's a team that's been in the picture before in recent history. But let's say we're talking about Tulane, Michael Pratt goes down this late in the year. They're undefeated. That's a team that you can be like, okay, that makes enough of a difference where we have an argument now to keep them out. When you're in a Power 5 conference dominating the way that they are, and maybe they're not dominating every game, but they are winning every football game, which you cannot do more than that when it comes to building your resume. It's really hard to give any reason to keep them out or view them any differently. Like, this isn't Tulane. This isn't Liberty. This isn't UNLV. I mean, we're talking about Florida State here. It's a Florida State recruit in the background. It's still going to be probably a 3-4-star kid. So does it suck that they lose a 5-star quarterback, one of the best talents in college football? Yes, but no, this can't make your decision any different when it comes to talking about a team like Florida State.
Schaefer, are you agreeing with everything they're saying? If you are, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Yes, I am agreeing with everything that they're saying. The one thing that just kind of pisses me off is we have these talking heads that a lot of people listen to, and Paul Feinbaum happens to be one of them. As quote unquote, like ESPN's college football reporter. And he's talking about, you got to put Alabama in right now. They're playing well. Evidently that they'll beat Georgia and that they deserve to jump ahead. And then Georgia's won 30 in a row, so they deserve to still stay in. Well, guess what, man? Like, is Alabama playing better right now? Absolutely. But why are we discrediting the LSU win, the first game of the year, but we're just brushing to the side the Texas loss? And Texas doesn't look very good right now for Alabama. So pick one or the other. Like, they're valuing the win earlier in the year, or they're valuing the loss earlier in the year. They're like, well, they've gotten better now. They're a completely different team, but they don't want to credit Florida State, who won by 20 against LSU, who has also looked better, and then they're playing good football right now. Go and tell that to Keon Coleman, to Johnny Wilson, to Trey Benson. Like, these are 3 guys that are top 10 at least in their skill position in overall in college football. Who's here to say that they can't pick up the slack for this football team? And we're also trying to make an argument for a team who's a quote might run the table. If they lose, fine. Then this conversation's done with. But we're also assuming that this team went to Gainesville, beat another SEC team, and then they're going to beat a top team, assuming that Louisville takes care of business this weekend against Kentucky. And we now say that team doesn't deserve to get in because they have a change of face at quarterback. Like, we haven't seen anything from this kid. Hey, he got put in down 13-0 on North Alabama. Now I know it's North Alabama, but they ran 58 straight on him. So I'm going to give this kid the benefit of the doubt, and it just makes me mad because a guy like Feinbaum gets paid to talk in front of a mass audience, and people are just dumb enough to believe him.
Okay, how about a situation where they lose one game? Say they drop one in Gainesville, they win the ACC title over a presumed top 10 Louisville.
They're out.
Right?
They're out.
They're still out.
Because everybody's also making the argument that if Michigan loses this weekend, no question they're out. There's no debate because of the strength of schedule. I would say for Florida State, it's not necessarily the strength of schedule that would be held against them. It's just the way that they've been playing probably the last 6 weeks. Is it perfect football? No. But I value wins, and if they don't get the job done and they don't win against another backup quarterback in Gainesville, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna put him in if Texas runs the table, or if Oregon wins, or if Georgia still stays undefeated, or even Alabama beats Georgia. Then we can have that conversation. But this team is going undefeated. Or if they do go undefeated, they deserve to be rewarded for that. It's mind-boggling to me that people actually have arguments.
No chance the Cardinals get in? They win the ACC title with one loss. No chance. No chance.
Not.
You can't lose on the road
chance.
at Pitt. You're not going to lose on the road to a 3-win team and get in the playoffs, man. It's so bad.
Hey, I mean, you lose one game, you win the conference, and
But they
Thank
also
God they
played one of
lost
the
that
worst
game. That was good to
schedules.
have this debate. Yeah, they had. Yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the year. They had the easiest schedule.
Yeah, I think that was a big point. But it's just interesting to look at this. Like, I think a lot of people are looking at them way different, and you should look at them different. That's my whole thing. You should view them differently. You should look at them differently. That does not mean you should take away what they deserve and what they've earned.
Here's what I will say: if you want to slide them back, I haven't even paid attention if they're 4 right now, but say they were 3 last week. If you want to slide them back to 4, fine. Like
he's saying they're 5.
They're sitting at 5 right now.
They're 5,
That's
but Washington
insane.
jumped them.
God, I'm first of all, number one, I'm doing bad podcasting that they're out of the top 4. Number 2, that
but
just drives me nuts.
But it doesn't matter that they're 5
there's a
because
reason why
everybody in front of them is
4.
undefeated. Everybody's undefeated.
Yeah,
in front
okay.
of them.
It's not like
Washington has 3
Ohio
Washington has
State
3 great wins.
Okay,
in
I'm
3
sorry,
different ways
about Ohio State and Michigan as well.
Yeah, they got to play. So it just
bad.
everything's in front of them. Sitting at 5 basically means you're in. Your default in, if that makes sense. So I don't think putting them at 5 is that big of a deal. I think putting them at 5 after what happened is fair.
Would the committee? I'm sorry, no, Parks, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Reese, can you tell me Washington's 3 great wins? Can you classify USC as a great win now, or Utah?
Arizona, Oregon State, and then who's the third one I'm blanking on?
Oregon.
Yeah,
got to be Oregon. 3. Yeah. Okay. Cool. As long as I just didn't know if USC was in there.
I think
not USC. Yeah. No. Not USC.
I think Arizona would be the one people forget, like you're saying though, Reese. Like people would think USC because Arizona. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's power rated in a lot of people's top 15, top 20. Ranked pretty darn high too. If they don't lose a weird one in the beginning of the year at Mississippi State, you're looking at Arizona like you want to play for a Pac-12 title, kind of good.
Utah.
Here's a nightmare scenario for the scenario. Here's a nightmare scenario for the committee. Ohio State loses in overtime this weekend. That's it. If Michigan loses, their excuses they're just out. But if Ohio State loses in overtime this weekend, I don't know.
Depends what happens elsewhere, man.
Yeah, but I think that's the worst case scenario out of anything right now is Ohio State losing in overtime on the road in Ann Arbor against Michigan. Like
we'll have that conversation if we get there, Schaefer, because there's gonna be a lot of time to do that.
We were talking about other things.
No, you're good.
I'm digging a rabbit hole.
We have plenty of time next week because we'll break down each conference title, and we could just throw that in as like a what the hell now, after each one. So really nice to get into that embrace debate. I think that's something you've seen all over Twitter and social medias and spots, but we're happy to get into it and kind of give our viewpoint on it. Not that you guys are looking for one, but I think it's different to hear from somebody not paid by ESPN, CBS, Fox, or a part of a team.
If they want to, they want to pay us though, they can definitely pay us. I'll take the money.
Yeah, it's a fact. I'm not going to say no. But let's jump into week 13 previews. How about rivalry week, fellas? We got 3 games we want to break down, all rivalries, all big games. We're going to start with the Civil War. We got Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon is a 13.5 or 14-point favorite. I'm not sure exactly where the number is right before we record this. I think we have 14 down here. Over under at 62.5. Can the Beavers in Eugene disrupt the Ducks season, or will Oregon keep rolling and have a chance to get into the playoff next week? What are our thoughts? What are we seeing on this game? Like, how do we just feel about it in general? Like, I don't think this game has been re-signed to say we're going to continue to play this quite yet. I think they're still in those dealings. So whoever wants to go first, let's talk some football.
Am I the only one that's shocked that the spread is that big? Like, is that right or is that wrong? Like, I think that's
I'm not
13,
surprised.
like 2 touchdowns. I could see like an 8 or a 9, but I think that spread's too big. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think Dan Lanning will have the guys fired up, ready to go. But I still think Oregon State is one of the better defenses they're going to see all year. I mean, I think I have 24 turnovers so far. And yeah, Nix hasn't turned the ball over a whole lot this year. I think just 2 so far. But it's going to be a defense that's going to know how to get to him and force him to make hopefully in their eyes, some inadvertent throws. And if they can limit Bucky Irving and all those guys like Troy Franklin, I just think Oregon State's defense is going to be a little more prepared than I think Oregon is going to maybe give them credit for. I think the spread's a little bit too big. But I would be shocked if Oregon State would win this game, but I just don't think Oregon wins this game by more than 2 touchdowns.
You know why that line's 14? Because Oregon State did not expose Washington last week on defense, granted the weather or not, right? Like you didn't beat them low scoring. That's kind of your bread and butter, right? That's why that line's there. Parks, you jumping at this one too. You have something to say on it?
Yeah, you got to know where I'm going to go. I have Oregon in my college football playoff. I think they win the game. I think the line's in a great spot, but my only worry is the Pac-12 is going to Pac-12, man.
Yes.
What a
Here we go again.
spot.
These are the 2 weeks. These are the 2 weeks it happens.
What a great spot for Oregon State to ruin Oregon's chance of making it to the college football playoff. Now, to win. Even would they make it the conference championship? Are they guaranteed to go in there?
Yes. Yeah. That I'm pretty sure that is locked in.
Right. So even if that's
no,
locked
if
in,
Oregon State wins, Arizona can get in.
See, this is a very good spot. This is where the Pac-12 is going to do it to themselves. We've seen it before, so that makes me nervous.
So many times.
If I gotta put my money where my mouth is, I gotta roll with Bo Nix. There's too much on the line here. There's too much talent. Bucky Irving to have a big day. Give me Oregon at home to win the final Civil War. I don't think they match up next year, so maybe possibly.
No, yeah, they're dealing with some weird stuff. Like they're not quite locked into this. And this is Friday night, by the way, at 7:30. So this is Friday night at night. You're going into Autzen at night. For me on this one, a lot of it has to do with the defensive side of the ball for Oregon and the offensive side for Oregon State. Like, I understand the weather was weird last week. The game kind of played out weird between Washington and Oregon State. But if you're DJU, right, and you're Damian Martinez, and you're kind of looking at this game, you're like, where's your confidence coming from? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I thought last week was going to be the game. You kind of showed up and you started balling out a little bit. Do you lose? Maybe. But when you lose as low scoring instead of like 22-20 or whatever exactly the score was, do you really feel like you can go into Autzen now? And I know there's like Parks is saying, there's that little bit of background that out of body feeling where you're that pumped up for a game and there's just something weird going on in the Pac-12 all the time. And it's the last Civil War for a while. Like, there's always something out there, right? Just floating around in the air that can make it weird. But Oregon's been disruptive. They've been able to hold some outside of Washington, good offenses to low scoring. They're able to play complementary with the offense and control the football and control the ground game. And now they're good up front and can handle a good ground game. Here we go, DJU. Your job was to come to Oregon State and be a part of this and make it better. Here's your chance to really blow up a Ducks season and cement your name in Oregon State history. Because I think 16 is the wrong number next to their name because I think they're better than that. But when you lose the game they did last week or a couple, the one in Arizona early in the year, I think is just a weird one. But
Washington State's
this is the one, right? Yeah, Washington State's not great. That's the great point, Reese. Like that's one. Early in the year, you got that was a Washington State team playing a lot different than they are now, but that's one you need to have looking back. So, Schaefer, any final thoughts on this one that you want to kind of tie the bow on, and then we'll throw all our picks because we got a 15-game ATS board this week.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that come to mind, and I think, JP, you said it perfectly. Like, Oregon State, you couldn't have asked for a better opportunity last week. With the weather being as bad as it was, being at home, like Martinez still had 120 yards. Like that's an opportunity for you to win that football game. That is prime setup for you to win. And some DJU turnovers kind of cost them the game. Oregon ranks 10th in the country in rush defense. That's just not going to bode well for Oregon State. Like that's all they can rely on. And you kind of saw it last week when things got hectic. I hate rivalry games being this big as far as spreads. There's a scenario where I do see Oregon State keeping this close, and Park said Pac-12 is going to Pac-12, but we kind of said that last week too, and Washington still came out of it. I think it's different this year. I think those two, Oregon and Washington, they're finding ways to win with different options, and I think a lot of it has to do with veteran quarterback play. So, being that said, I'm going to take Oregon to cover. I mean, it's 14 on the dot. If I push, so be it, and I think that's where it's going to be at.
Reese, I have one thing to say, but you can go ahead and give your pick, or if you have something to add in.
Say I have something to add in too. Shaver just talked about how they took away the run game, and they're 10th rush defense or whatever. People forget DJU is still throwing 20 passes through the air for touchdowns this year. So like the guy can still sling it if he needs to. Like,
he's proved it.
He doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have the weapons out there, but I think
he won it in that Cal game. I'm sorry to cut you off. He won it in that Cal game. He's won it in certain spots against weak defenses. Again, we said the weather was bad last week, but that's a weak defense, or at least it has shown to be in the last 5 weeks. And Jabbar Muhammad kind of made him his daddy. Like he had a couple of takeaways.
That guy had a
and
game.
they took advantage of it. That is what it is.
Reese, your pick on this ATS board.
I think the spread's way too big. I'd be shocked if they win, but give me the Beavers to cover.
Here's where I'm at on this one. We can't forget that Oregon has something to play for here too. This isn't just let's say 100%. a 9-2 Oregon team. No, this is a 10-1 team with a chance to go to the Pac-12 title, to a chance to punch their ticket to a college football playoff after that. This isn't a pushover spot. This isn't in Corvallis. Like that would be the recipe for disaster.
We've seen this happen before, but this isn't a crystal ball coach team. This is a Dan Lanning coach team. Like this guy can convince any team. If he was playing a high school team tomorrow, he could convince his team that they were underdogs. Like he's that good of a coach and that good of a prepper.
Yep. I would like everything in my being to go with what Park said and then ride with Reese, but I'm going to take Oregon here. I just think DJU in this situation is my favorite DJU. So I'll take Oregon in the 14. But I would not be surprised if this is a live dog in Oregon State, right? So we got 3 Oregon picks. So Oregon State, 1 for Reese. And it sounds like we probably should ride with Reese considering he's up quite a bit. I think 4 or 5 games on second and third place on that ATS board.
If we're doing a 15-team board or 15-game board for this week, just so you guys can catch up to me, is bullshit, by the way.
I think no.
What if you just pound us?
Which is bullshit, by the way.
This is Reese. This is the NBA in-season tournament. Like whoever wins, it's going to be cool. We're going to give them the championship. Hey, you won rivalry week, but like you didn't win the NBA finals. Reese, you won the NBA finals.
Hey, I won something here, though. I didn't win the conference title thing or whatever, but I won something here. I'm not winning the dogs. I'm not winning the best bets, or whatever, but I'm winning something here.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay, Reese. We're not trying to take anything away from you. One of these boards actually counts. The other 2 are for rivalry week in general, if that makes sense. We'll throw it into a little bubble there. All right, let's jump into the next one. How about the game Ohio State at Michigan? Michigan, a 3.5-point favorite. This opened at 5 or 5.5, around that number, kind of falling down as the week has gone on. We have 3 on the board, kind of depending on where you look in your books and who you're betting on is the number you'll pick. This is going to be I feel like this is going to be a different kind of the game than we've seen. We've seen higher scoring ones in recent years. We've seen teams with more high-powered offenses. Not saying Michigan can't score points, not saying Ohio State can't, but usually when you go into these games, you're talking about the offenses. How about these defenses, right? I think that's where this whole thing starts. Parks, let's talk about this one a little bit. I know you'll be buckled in paying attention to it because in a lot of ways, that being you both had 2 Big Ten teams. We both, needed this to kind of be a tie to kind of our predictions. We're not in that situation now, but where are we at now, I think is still good for the Big Ten.
Yeah, what a massive game. This is the Big Ten title, right? I mean, JP, can we admit it? This is the Big Ten title.
No.
Yeah, it's the Big Ten title. Come
on. No, you got to win in Indianapolis. Come on.
Big Ten title spread's going to be 17.5.
Yeah, these teams, I mean, this is the top of the
17.5, lay them. It'll be 21.
I mean, okay, the pre-Big Ten title game.
Thank you.
What a game. Thank you. What a spot. I think it comes down to one simple thing. Can Ohio State's defense come through when it comes down to getting stops? I mean, they did it at Notre Dame. That's why they had a chance to win that game at the end. It's an offense that's not as persistent as what they've had in the past. So it's going to come down to their defense. Can they force turnovers out of J.J. McCarthy? Can they limit Blake Corum? Can they limit Donovan Edwards, who I think is a better back overall than Blake Corum? Ohio State, I don't know if they can get it done. It's a tough spot being in the big house. I think the spread's in a perfect spot. I think Michigan edges it. They're going to complete the perfect season. So give me Michigan at home.
Reese, what are you thinking? I don't know where your mind went.
So I wrote down for this one, Parksy, looking at this one, it's like we're sitting at the roulette table, and you know how we just love betting red or black, and we see, we're looking at the board, we're like, oh, we saw 2 reds in a row, we're like, okay, now it's going black. Okay, then we're going to bet black heavy. So, and I also hate this narrative that Michigan is somehow Big Brother now when they won 2 in a row, when Ohio State previously had won 16 of 17. I don't know if you guys knew that said or not, but Ohio State won 16 of 17 the last one. So I just saw it go to black twice. So now I'm hammering on red and I'm putting everything on it. That's where my mind's at for this one. I'm tired of the narrative that Ryan Day isn't a good coach, that they're a little brother now. And also when Harbaugh's saying that they're America's team, shut up. Dude, you cheated and you got caught cheating. Nobody cheers for the Houston Astros. They got caught cheating. You're not America's team. Shut up. That's so annoying to me. I hate that narrative. I don't hate Michigan, but I hate what he's saying. Dude, I want Ohio State to win so bad this weekend. Also, I have them as my national title, so I need them to win. But I want Ohio State to win so bad this weekend. Give me Ohio State, dude. I'm at the roulette table hammering red this weekend. I'm hammering red.
You're like Desmond Howard if he was Ohio State fan. Like Desmond Howard, just all he does is bash Ohio State, and then just it's like Michigan. You're the opposite of that right now. It's pretty funny.
I haven't talked that high about Ohio State all year, but just ever since this shit came out with Stallions, I can't stand Michigan right now.
Oh, I mean, Parks talked about what I thought was going to be the big key in this situation. Reese just popped off. I don't know how we follow this and talk about this
wild
game.
Card, baby.
You could go ahead and try.
I will try. That was great, Reese. That was an awesome analogy.
It's from right here. It's from here.
Listen, when I talk about this game, everybody kind of knows my thoughts. I feel like if you've been listening the last at least 3 weeks of the podcast, I'm still on Michigan. Like, I'm not going to change it. And given the circumstances, I'm still going to stick to my guns because I think that Michigan, they do so many things in different ways and they can win in so many different ways. Like, for instance, McCarthy hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 games. Okay, let's go back to the Purdue game. I mean, the guy was 24, 37, 335. He didn't have a touchdown. Like, it doesn't really matter that he's throwing touchdowns. I heard it on every single podcast that it's this big deal. And I'm not even a JJ McCarthy guy. Like, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. But I think when he's called upon on Saturday, I think he can get it done. My worry is like the pressure of Tuimoloau. Like, that kind of concerns me. But I trust this run game. If they have to run it 10 times in a row, they will. I think Roman Wilson and Colson Loveland are serviceable on the outside for them to throw to. And everybody wants to talk about Moore and how this is his 3rd game ever and he doesn't have any idea what he's getting into. Why don't we change the narrative a little bit? Like, maybe this is a head coach in the making for a really long time, like with all the cheating stuff. And we probably think Harbaugh is gone after this year, just given probably they're going to have sanctions on their hands and everything like that. Maybe Moore is a guy who wins this football game, changes the narrative. Maybe he's Michigan's coach for the next 5, 6, 7 years. I don't think all of that casual takes about Ryan Day. I think he's an awesome coach. I think Ohio State's really good. Those takes, Reese, are valid because idiots love to say it. It's not true even if he loses this football game. But I'm still going to stick to my guns. I think Michigan's going to win at home in probably another ugly one. So,
yeah, I'm in the same situation. I do like Michigan in this spot, and I have been looking forward to this game to see what the line was. But I'm not super confident in it. I think Ohio State has the ability to kind of change this. You get Travion Henderson, who's been really good in the run game. And has really helped that offense. You know what Michigan doesn't have, though, is a Marvin Harrison Jr. They don't have a absolute game breaker that McCord or that McCarthy can throw the ball to like McCord does. Can McCord get himself in a spot where it's not turnovers and it's not just bailout throws and he's feeling comfortable in the pocket? Because Michigan's defensive front is good. The offensive line of Ohio State's been better in years past. It's the same thing on the defensive front for Ohio State. That defensive front is good. Michigan's dealing with some injuries. They'll get a couple guys back this week who left the game last week. But, I mean, how do we twist this to make sure that McCord is in more of a prime position? I'm not sure. And then you plug him into the big house. It's a tough one. I'd like to see Ohio State win just because I think it would be interesting to see what Ryan Day would say after the game. But then at the same time, I'd take the 3 in the home team in this scenario. Don't love it. Not throwing any money on it, not super confident, but I'll take the home team and feel decent about it. So 3 Michigans and an Ohio State for the game. We'll be buckled up for Fox Big Noon at 11 a.m. on Saturday for this one. It will be an absolute blast. So pumped to watch that one. Reese, you got something to finish this one up?
Over under on how many Maserati Marvs we're going to hear? 36?
Ooh, 36.
You're already – we put an end to the Gus Johnson slander. He's good for the game.
No, I love Gus Johnson, but I'm saying if
All right.
I'm going to hear that 20 times, dude, it's going to get a little irritating by the 12th time, like, or the 6th time.
Fair
Like,
enough.
Gus, come on.
I do think
JP, you're right.
JP, you made a very good point that I failed to mention. Kyle McCord, you've never been in a situation like this. You may have been on the sideline, you may have had your headset on, but to step on the field on the last Saturday in college football before conference championship week in Michigan, in the big house, you have never been in a situation like that. So that is a great storyline to follow. Good point, JP.
Let's go into our last preview. We're going to do this one a little bit shorter as it is just kind of getting the token mention. So nobody says anything that we did talk about it. How about Alabama at Auburn? Alabama, a 14.5-point favorite after Auburn's loss to New Mexico State a week ago. Schaefer, you wanted to talk about this one. You thought it was important that we mention it. Can you tell us why?
I mean, it's the
outside
Iron
of just
Bowl.
You're SEC.
It lost a lot. It lost a lot of hype last week.
Guys, it's not hype. Like, this is, and we're gonna get into this in a second, and we're already running on 45 minutes, by the way. But like, is this not a top 3 rivalry in college
What's
football?
going to talk about this week?
We didn't talk about it last year. I don't think because we were like, who cares?
I'm just saying, is this not a top 3 rivalry in college football?
It is a top rivalry, yeah.
Auburn was 2 weeks away from coming off of a great road win against Arkansas, winning by 38. I can't explain everything that happened last week. I have no idea. I didn't watch the football game. The vibes aren't great. But guess what? Like, do I think Auburn is going to be up for this game? Absolutely. Despite what I've heard from Freeze in the press conferences and things like that. It's fucking Alabama's coming to town for with 10 to try to go to the college football playoff, and they're already going to the SEC championship game. Like, this is a big deal. The spread's huge. Everybody else is on Alabama. That's fine. I mean, Alabama, you've played Chattanooga, Kentucky, and LSU the last 3 weeks. I am not convinced your offense is all of a sudden world beaters. So Jalen Milroe, go there, take apart that defense, do what you do. I will see it myself. I think Auburn will find ways on the ground to handle this. Now, I think Alabama's defense is a world beater, and I think it's going to be ugly. But I think Auburn will find a way to cover. I can see this being a 21-10 game. I think it's going to be low scoring, and that's where I see it. But to think it's going to be an absolute massacre, no questions asked. It's ridiculous.
I mean, what do we get out of mentioning Auburn in this situation? I'm not saying I'm picking against them with the ATS board. I'm not saying I'm picking them. I'm just saying in general, there are games that mattered more to the college football landscape in this situation than this one. Agree? Disagree?
I agree. No, it's the rivalry itself. It's rivalry weekend. This is what we do.
It's correct.
Bama by 21.
Bama
by 21 or more. This Auburn team is atrocious. They lost 90% of their fan base last week. This ain't going to be the normal Iron Bowl. I get what you're saying. Auburn's had down years and still competed in this game. Not this style of Auburn. Man, oh man. They just paid a $2 million paycheck to get their ass kicked.
I get it. Like, everybody's argument like last week, but like, I think I said this earlier in the year. Let's not like overreact. I get it. It was New Mexico State and they came in and whooped their ass, but these are 20-year-old kids. Like, I think they can turn it around and keep it relatively competitive.
Reese, how about you?
Yeah, to Schaefer's point, I mean, Georgia did go in there this year. I mean, they only won by 7 or 10, I believe, whatever it was. So, like, there's that aspect to it, too, which makes it maybe possible. But I have no faith that Auburn's really going to be able to pull off the upset here and shock the world. I think Bama goes in there and just handles them.
Perfect. I don't want to like. I just want to act like I'm kissing ass here. I'll take Auburn as well. I think it just gets ugly, just an overlook situation. But how do you overlook the Iron Bowl? It's this whole thing, right? But on the ATS board, I'll take Auburn. I need to make up ground on Reese is mostly the reason I'm going the other way, and I also need to make up ground on Schaefer. But getting me to second doesn't win. I got to go to first, right? So that is our 3 previews for Week 13 and Rivalry Week. We're going to jump into something that I'm excited about. We'll make a cool graphic out of it, and we get to outline more than one rivalry that's happening or the 3 that we talked about today. How about a Rivalry Week special, the draft? Each of us will get 3 selections. We're going to go snake style, every rivalry known to college football is in play, all levels, all divisions, whether it's played this week or not. We're going to go in snake style. Here's the order. I need everybody to write this down, right? It goes me. Again, this is random wheel. Parks and Reese saw it, Schaefer. I didn't
Loaded.
make this up.
That was loaded. He picked himself first.
I'm not
To be
arguing.
fair, I
I'll take
don't
it.
want to be the first
There's
pick.
no argument
Yeah.
for me. There's no argument.
And with it
Let's
only
roll.
being 3 picks, like that, you're probably in the best spot. Anyway, me, then Reese, then Parks, then Schaefer, right? Snake style. So I'll go 1, 1, 1, 2, back around. Okay, perfect. All right.
Correct.
Number 1
Follow.
overall pick in this situation. I'm going to go the game. I'm going to go Ohio State, Michigan. That'll be my number 1 overall selection. I think I'm going to get a little bit of recency bias out of some people looking at it and be like, damn, I mean, those have been top 5 teams the last 3 or 4 years, or top 10 teams they've playing for a chance to go to the Big Ten title. I like it. I like it more because it is in the Big Ten and it is up north where we're from. So it hits a little more home to me. But that's the one I'm going to go number 1 overall. Reese, you're up.
Number
And
2.
you gotta write
looking
these
at
down.
these.
Write these
I'm
down.
Huh? I got. Oh yeah. I got it.
Oh yeah.
Give me a second. All right. So
All
when
right.
I went through and looked at mine, the game means a lot, yes, but you also got to go to the opposing sideline. You got to grab a pretty cool trophy. You know what I mean? Like that also plays a factor into this.
Okay, fair.
So with mine, my first one, I went with the fun game, a game that happened this year already, with a great trophy. Red River Rivalry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
It's a good one. No one's gonna be mad at that.
Great one. The golden
mad
hat.
you
Good one.
took it.
Good one.
That is you those pictures after the game when the guys are wearing that's probably the coolest picture you'll take the rest of your life. That is
Now this is gonna get real interesting with Parks' pick here. This could
It's
get real
not.
interesting.
It's
Okay,
not.
okay.
I mean, I can't believe this is still on the board. This is America's game. This is Army Navy.
Oh, okay.
on.
But
Picking
we
on my
said, but I was saying
Yo.
that this is. Did we just say that Iron Bowl's the top 3 rivalry in college football, and then we just picked it 4th at best?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
That's
don't
us.
subscribe me to this. Give me Army Navy,
Oh,
a game that
that's
gets
a good
its
one.
own
That's a good
day.
one.
I mean, a game that it's the crowd's filled with our troops, right? I mean, I can't
Go
believe
Army.
Reese in the Army didn't pick
Nah.
the
Yeah.
Army Navy game. I mean, what a
That's-
football game!
I mean,
that-
it was
that
on the
would be
board. It was
left
on the
for
board,
third
but I
pick.
thought it was gonna fall later.
Who
I
it
am
wasn't going
very
past the first
happy.
round, I don't think. Because
No,
if I would have
God.
gotten like the 3rd pick, I probably would have done just what Parks did right there.
The
Schaefer, you want
Secretary's
to
trophy?
save the day?
Come on.
Commander in Chief trophy for the 3 of them. If we want to go, I don't know if we get all 3 in that context of Air Force, Army, and Navy. Get the Commander in
like-
Chief, but I could give it to you.
It's an alright trophy.
Am I missing one? Like, am I missing an obvious one? Because
Yes. I mean, we just
hold on. I'm trying to scroll through a list here. I'm trying to. Am I
Guys,
missing?
There's
Guys, not
no
even
way he
prepared.
doesn't pick this,
It's not
right?
even Prepared.
I mean,
There's
first pick out there and you're struggling. I mean, you get 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Is your second one going to take an hour?
no shit. It's not like
I'm
you
just-
don't get a
all right.
retry.
First one. I'm gonna go. God, I'm gonna sound like a dumbass.
He
for
has
missing it.
to.
I'm going Holy War. First one.
There's
one of
no
the
fucking
longest.
shot. No, there's that timeout. There's no shot that you just talked about how we have to put the Iron Bowl into the previews. You just said that's a top 3 rivalry in college football.
Well, he's
and
got
then you don't even
back-to-back
pick it
picks.
in the first round.
It-
But he didn't
back
pick it in
picks,
the
he can take
first
it
round.
They take
That's
it
fine.
away.
No, you already picked it. A pick played is a pick or pick played. is a pick played, all right?
That's fine. That's fine. I had a second one in mind, and I think I'm gonna get it when it comes back to me. So yeah, for pick number 2 is gonna be the Iron Bowl.
Okay, thank you. Jeez. Insane.
Nobody.
This one might catch
or-
people
wait,
by
is
surprise.
hold on? Sorry, is my Holy
No.
War pick like is that? No,
It's just funny how you said it was a top
That's a
3
nice
rivalry,
one.
then you
I
didn't
like
take
it.
it in
By
the
the
first
way,
round.
disclosed. Thank you for naming it, because good God, I'm already losing my memory. I couldn't think of what I was looking for on the top of my head. So thank you for helping me out there.
Whatever.
I would have
Whatever, dude.
legitimately went
Oh
by.
shit! What did we just
not
talk about?
Yeah,
You
not
could have
great,
pulled up
not
anything.
great.
Parks, you're up.
Yeah, my game might take people by surprise. It could have been probably a 3rd round pick, but I just enjoy watching this game thoroughly every year. And it doesn't matter. It's great because you have teams that are at the top and a middle of the pack team or a team that didn't expect to be good like this year that still can win it. Give me Bedlam. I thoroughly enjoy watching Bedlam. Oklahoma State. It's a great football game. What an upset this year from Oklahoma State, who then is finishing their season on a high note after getting blasted by UCF. But what a great football game. Give me Bedlam, my second pick.
Reese, you got your second pick up now. What you do here dictates a lot of how I go about my next two.
Oh, man, this one isn't so much about the trophy. I just think I like in-state ones as well. I am not going with the Cyhawk one. Don't worry. I'm gonna go with Florida State.
Ooh,
I like that. I like that one a lot. I think it's always end of the year. It's gonna carry that. I mean, this year could have very serious implications. I just think at the end of the year, very interesting. I like the color mashups there too. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. I thought you were going to go to a different one, but here I am. And actually, Parks took the one I was going to take. How about I go a little bit off the page because I have 2 picks in a row of my last 2 picks. How about let's drop down a division? Let's do that. Let's talk about the Brawl of the Wild a little bit. Montana State. This is a freaking scene every year. It'd be so cool to go to this one. It'd be freezing ass cold. It'd be snow on the ground. But golly, does it look like that's all they have, right? I'm not saying Montana's not a great state. There's not a lot of things to do. I'm saying that's their schools, and they play like they're the high-end Division I schools, and they're not. But it's just so cool to watch. So I'll take Brawl of the Wild, right? And then, oh, man.
It's a big pick.
Yeah, it is. There's 2 that I really like here. How about I've got a little bit of maybe not because it hasn't been that great the last couple years. I mean, the last 2 years have been great. Everything prior to that, maybe not as great. But how about the 3rd Saturday in October, Tennessee, Alabama? That's still fun to me. Like the fact that you get to light up cigars in the stadium if you win, and there's no fireworks smoke. It's just cigars. Sounds incredible. I'll take 3rd Saturday.
I'm very mad at myself.
Final.
I didn't pick that one second. I'm mad at myself.
I was literally
how that one slipped my mind. I have no idea.
I was picking that one. I was picking that one over the Iron Bowl. Had you not, God, most underrated.
Would have gone double Alabama.
The most underrated college football rivalry. Most underrated one.
I would have been happy with another one that's still on the board, but hey, let's go back through for the last couple picks.
All right, this one is not hasn't been a very interesting game the last couple of years. It's in the Big Ten, but I just think it's one of the coolest trophies for Rivalry Trophy. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Paul Bunyan's axe.
There's no fucking way he took a Minnesota rivalry and it's not against Iowa.
No, it's a great trophy.
I'm not
I was looking at that one.
Damn it!
The pig
I don't like
so
Floyd
much
Royce.
cooler.
Dude, the axe is so much cooler.
Oh my god! But there's 2 Paul Bunyan trophies.
I'm sorry.
Take your shave.
That's false. No, you didn't pick mine. But how do you not pick the pig? The Floyd of Rosedale. God damn it! It's a pig on a trophy.
Is way cooler.
There's 2. It's so cool that there's 2 Paul Bunyan trophies, not just one. There's only one fucking Floyd.
The second one is a Paul Bunyan. This one's the axe.
Yeah.
Dumbass.
Oh, would you think Paul Bunyan picked up the axe himself?
Difference.
It's just an axe. It's just an axe. It's not anything special about the
Paul
damn
Bunyan
axe.
as a statue. One is his axe. Going and getting
It's not
an axe
his
and
axe.
opposing
He
Thailand's
did
a lot
live.
of fun.
He's not a real person.
You made the mistake mentioning
Whatever.
JP's 2 probably most hated teams. So it's a cool trophy, JP. It should be classified as a weapon. It's a legitimate axe. Okay, back to me. I'm going to take, and this is just to save my fandom. I don't think most people would let me live, especially people that listen to this that I know are Nebraska fans. Give me Nebraska, Oklahoma as a tribute to 2 college football blue bloods. Just a rivalry that was built on whoever was going to win the national title that year. The Big 8. When it came down to the Big 8, you talk Nebraska, you talk Oklahoma. That's who was going to the national title that year and most likely going to win it. A tribute to the 2 greats. As a fair reminder, folks, that's what put Nebraska on the map was this game every year. It's still competitive this day. Give me Nebraska, Oklahoma. The game of the century. They didn't name any other college football game that. The game of the century.
I can name 3 right now.
The game of the century was Nebraska, Oklahoma that year. It's the only one that's ever been labeled that. Give me Nebraska, Oklahoma. What a great rivalry. And it's still a good game, except for the last time they matched up. But 2 years ago when we still sucked, still a good game.
Shiver, you want to round this out? You got any blue bloods in your pick?
No, not any blue bloods at the top of my head, but I'm gonna also go back to a sort of a renewed rivalry. I'm glad they've kind of brought this back into fruition because I didn't really realize it when we were younger how much of a big rivalry it was. I'm gonna go backyard brawl. I think that there is
That's a good one. That's the one I had on there.
There's a lot of animosity for both of those teams, and I'm not
Mhm.
sure if they have it renewed again for next year, but I hope they continue to try to play that game, even though they're not in the same conference anymore. Because I think they
Yep.
met for like what was it, over 100 years in a row before they split. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's definitely mine.
Hey, that's a good draft right there. I mean, there's only 3 picks, you can't get them all. So just a quick rundown of ones that we didn't quite get to: the Apple Cup, the Governor's
Egg
Bell
Bowl.
or Governor's Cup, Egg Bowl, Civil War, Tobacco Road, Farmageddon, the Duel of the Desert, Miami, Florida State. Any other ones that we did not touch on? Iowa, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota.
Cy-Hawk.
I've
The
gotta be
Heroes
missing
Trophy
one.
sucks. They could have come up with so many
The
better
trophy's
names.
stupid. The trophy's stupid.
It
But
sucks.
we got to be missing a couple. But hey, let's
Be-
let's
The
jump into the
Missouri
next things
Nebraska
we're-
Bell, one of the better trophies out there. Game may not have been a big thing, but the trophy was sweet.
There's plenty out there. There's no way we get to them all, but we're running a little bit long, so we want to make sure we get to the next thing here. Let's jump into our next segment. We're going to go over under the radar games of the week. We'll touch on these quickly. I'll start here. I'm going to go Louisville, Kentucky. Another rivalry we didn't mention in the draft, but it is an important one nonetheless. Louisville needs to win this game. They're already playing for a chance for an ACC title, but if they win this one and then win next week against Florida State, at least they put themselves in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. So, and 11-1 would be pretty good in Brom's first year.
Do you want me to go?
I have Reese next.
Go ahead, Parks.
Actually, I was
Okay,
trying
go
to
ahead.
find
Go ahead,
that out.
Parks. No, Parks, you go. Parks, you go, man.
Oh, thank you, Reese. Yeah, give me A&M at LSU. I think it's an interesting storyline to follow with kind of how that A&M team is going to respond after losing Jimbo Fisher, with a lot of names floating around the portal rumors, and then a guy on the other side who's still genuinely at the top of the Heisman conversation, as he should be. Can he perform against an elite defense? It's an interesting, fun game to follow. Maybe not a lot of postseason implications here, but something you should definitely flip on that second or third TV. So that's a good one.
Reese, you can go now. If you want.
Game I already mentioned before in my picks. Florida State and Florida. I mean, with this year, big implications. No Jordan Travis to see what the team's going to be like. And I mean, you're still going to the swamp, and it's Tom Petty. Won't back down. That'll fire a crowd up, and hopefully fire up the football team as well too. So who knows? This could be a big weekend for this one. Let's see if Florida State can stay perfect, or if Florida can make something happen. Have Billy Napier be a little more secure over there.
Schaefer, to you on yours.
Yeah, I think this is got to be the most deserving because we can't go without talking about the Egg Bowl. Some casuals like to think that the NFL is meant for Thanksgiving. Well, no, you're wrong. Sorry to tell you. The real ones will be watching this one on Thursday instead of the Niners and Seahawks. So that's really the only reason why I put it for under the radar. The real diehard fans of college football will be watching this one over any NFL game on Thursday, eating their turkey.
Let me know when the NFL has a golden egg for a trophy on Thanksgiving, and I'll watch them. But
Also,
give me the Egg Bowl. What a great call.
This came up in another podcast. Excuse my language. Fuck the NFL for playing football games on Black Friday. That is absolutely ridiculous. And if you guys have casuals in your life, if they're friends, you might consider getting new friends because this is just getting out of hand. All right. I'm an NBA guy. You're already trying to play games on Christmas.
Ugh.
Now you're playing on Black Friday. You're taking everybody's light. All right. You're the NFL. You're a decent product. You're not great. You don't deserve all these days. I was almost going to let you slide with Thanksgiving. Now you're just, it's getting out of hand.
I might get this tattooed. That was great.
I'm a college football guy through and through, but they do kind of run the sports landscape.
They are.
Because the general consumers are morons. College football.
The general consumer is most of
way,
America because they're pro sports markets. Yeah. It's stupid. I won't pay attention to it. I'm not saying I'm going to watch it, guys. I'm not a traitor,
Listen,
don't fire me.
No, now we're going on this. NFL fans, if you can never, the most likely you will never attend the top sporting event that your league has. You will never get to the Super Bowl. It's going to go to all the businesses, all the corporate, and you're going to be sitting on your couch watching TV eating dip. College football gives you the opportunity to be there, to create the atmosphere. Fuck you. Fuck the NFL. I mean, I still watch it. Don't get me wrong. I love football, but college football is day and night better
Love
than
football.
you.
Don't go away.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the. Actually, this is actually a good segue because this is why college football matters so much. Let's go to the G5 game of the week. How about an absolute freaking gem in the American Conference?
Jordan, this is G5 game of the year.
This is
Not
incredible
just the
stuff.
week.
How about UTSA and Tulane going at it for a chance to go into the American title game? SMU also undefeated in conference. They should win easy this week. But Tulane, a team that beat USC to bowl game last year, is a lot of people's pick for the G5 representative preseason. UTSA coming into a new conference, into the American. They started slow, a lot of injuries, had some Power 5 losses, but they've been red hot since Frank Harris has been back. This is going to be awesome. Two great quarterbacks that are better than a lot at Power 5 programs. Cannot wait to watch UTSA and Tulane. That has to be on your list. Reese, are you beeping?
Yeah, it's a fire alarm.
Mute it.
Duty calls.
Maybe mute the mic.
Duty calls.
Let's go. Hey, oh God, that's funny. Let's go into Dog's Dog here in our best bets and betting segments. I think this is the last week. I don't think we can count the conference title game because then you're kind of really forced to pick somebody. So I think this is the last week of the Dog's Dog. Is everybody in agreement here?
Yep.
Yeah, I plan on winning both too, so I'll take the last week here.
So I believe, Parks, you're still winning.
Yep.
Correct?
Another
Schaefer's in
outright winner.
second. Yeah, and is your gap insurmountable?
I do.
It's
I
6,
believe it
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah.
It's 6.
Oh,
And
fuck.
Schaefer, you're right behind. And then Reese, and then me. So we're gonna go in that order. Parks, we'll give you a trophy next week officially. But how about you give it another rip and try to extend that lead?
Yeah, so mark this one down if you're on the screen or if I'm in your ear. I mean, I just know ball at the end of the day, so I'm going to get real naughty with this one. Give me Hawaii plus the 7 at home against Colorado State. I mean, I want to apologize to Schaefer. I was hard on him last week for picking an under, like a real deep dog of a game. This is that. Give me Hawaii, a team that beat Air Force a couple weeks ago, who was classified as a wagon, to win outright on senior day on an island in beautiful weather. Colorado State isn't ready. Give me plus a 7.
Schaefer, you're up now.
I don't feel as fun taking this pick now that I didn't realize that I was completely out of it. I thought I was gonna take this pick with a chance.
Just
to
give
at
it
least,
for effort, Schaefer.
least
Take
tie.
Hawaii.
No, I will. I'll still let everybody know. I'm taking Iowa plus the 2.5. A team that was favored at the start of the week, at least by a point. Listen, little segue, like listen to Parks's preview on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube, listen to JP's preview. I'm not going to break it down for either side. I just don't. I've taken Nebraska before. They bit me in the ass. I just don't love the
Schaefer,
way
it's
Nebraska's
well
playing
warranted
football right now.
Don't make it sound sad. It's well warranted. You've had your 3
I wish
opportunities. You
this
shit
was
them down the
for-
drain.
I thought this was at least going to be to tie the Dog's Dog, which made it even a little.
Yeah,
more
that's
intriguing.
rough.
You
You had the lead most of the year.
It. You can retract it if you
I
like.
don't know where I lost this lead. I did have the lead most
Last
of the year.
2 weeks, 3 weeks for sure. He's kind of caught fire
That's
a little
4
bit.
straight dogs hit outright, baby. Take those
Reese,
vitamins.
let's go to you. Me and you are in a really close battle for 3rd and 4th. I mean, it's an absolute slobber knocker at the bottom of the
Reese,
standings.
you're a fucking sicko.
Just ignore this lady fire alarm talking over all this. This is a fucking army. God, this is so stupid. Boom, boom.
In case you didn't know what
Anyway,
a fire alarm
I'm
sounded
going.
like.
I'm going Iowa State. I'm going Iowa State plus the 10.
It's a cyclone alert.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go,
it literally is.
dude.
There it
Fire
is.
me up.
Literally, it's a sign. It's a sign. Hammer 'em. Give me the clones plus 10.
Oh, here's my reasoning behind this. It's got to sound weird when my ATS board comes out one way and my Dog's Dog goes the other way. I'll take Oregon State plus the 14. I got to catch Reese somewhere. Either I got to get him on the board, the ATS board, or I got to get him here, the Dog's Dog, so I don't finish last. That's my reasoning. Oregon State the 14. Boom. There's your best bet, or your dogs for everybody. A little bit of a premature celebration for Parks, but I think he's out of reach of everybody. So we need to make sure we beat him in conference title point game. How about best bets? I'll go first here on this one. I'll take Florida State minus the 6.5 against Florida. I think the quarterback thing means a lot, but I do think they're still talented enough to win this game. And I think they'll be fired up and understanding that they got to be on both sides of the ball a lot sharper than what they've been going on the road in the swamp in this kind of rivalry game. And you can't lose if you want to get in the college football playoff. So I'll take Florida State. Reese, you're up.
I was really debating taking Florida as my dog this week, but I don't think I could talk about them twice for my under the radar game of the week and then my dog. But this one I'm going with Kansas minus a 6, going to Cincinnati. Give me KU, who's playing well. Almost had a chance to win that game. They covered for me last week as my dog. They're playing really well. I think they've lost 2 straight, but give me a time for them to bounce back against a bad Cincinnati team on the road. So
perfect. To Parks.
Yeah, I'm going to stay ugly with this one. Give me Colorado and Utah under 52.5 points. A Shadur Sanders who got absolutely rocked as he does every week last week, came out of the game. Colorado's backup quarterbacks, when they got slapped around by Washington State, were just awful. I mean, they have absolutely no depth, and their offensive line is bad enough to make me believe that I don't know if Utah gives up more than 10 points in the game. I have a hard time feeling that they're going to put up 42. So give me under 52.5 in that game, and Utah wins, obviously.
Well, let's stay in the same game, Schaefer.
Yep. Parks, let me pick up where you left off. I'm going to take Utah minus the 22 now. The vibes with Colorado is just as bad as it gets. Last week, not only was Washington State in as deep of a hole as you were, you couldn't have tell because, I mean, my God, that was just a terrible game. And they got after Colorado. Utah's coming off a loss from last week, a tough loss too. And where do they get off the mat here? Colorado, what are you playing for at this point? This is going to be a good coach team, and everybody wants to beat the shit out of Colorado this year. So I don't see why. And this is technically, it's a rivalry game. So little more incentive for Utah at home to get after them. So they'll win. Parks will cover his under. I'm going to say 35-7 is what I got to say.
That would hit both. That is going to be,
yes, sir.
35 is not surprising out of Utah. They have taken advantage of bad defenses this year. That's a wrap for Rivalry Week. Thank you for tuning in, and follow us on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, our YouTube page for all of our previews. We will have a lot to offer you next week for Conference Title Week, as we'll have a breakdown of each game. We'll release those to the public. We'll make sure that you are informed no matter the spread on those games. Not talking about any one of them in particular, but it should be a ton of fun. Anything to say before we head out of here, fellas?
Enjoy.
We love you all. Yeah.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the football you get. May everybody's teams play well. Unfortunately, somebody's got to lose on Friday between Parks and JP. So I pray that everybody has fun in that one.
Only thing I have to say is that, whoever does lose, I need you and Reese to sponsor a bottle of liquor sent to their house. Right? I need that to happen. Otherwise,
call the ambulance. I'm driving to the nearest tree.
Rumple mints.
Oh boy.
It should be a good weekend. It'll be a stressful Friday, but hopefully we can enjoy Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thank you all for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. It's a ton of fun to do this each year, and we're not done yet for the year. How about Parks? You take us away a little bit this week. Schaefer's been doing it. Demoted, though.
I'm ready. Play it.